The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it. Were you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress? I was. Look again.
And look like a human. All of them do. Okay?
Okay, do you think Von Braun was a reptilian?
No.
You really don't?
No.
Okay.
Your president, yes.
Oh, what? Which one? George Bush Sr.? Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
And Bill Clinton and this guy you got just got rid of.
And for the international order that we have worked for generations to build. Ordinary men and women are too small-minded to govern their own affairs. That order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They all were.
Right.
Okay? So they all have this ability to make themselves look like real good-looking people.
And you're saying Trump isn't one?
No, he's not. Themselves look like real good-looking people.
And you're saying Trump isn't one?
No, he's not. Okay.
Well, that's a relief.
And and he knows more about this subject than people realize.
IT engineer basically looked at Tesla's death ray machine and said, "Nothing to see here," and that was that. Case closed. And that MIT engineer was none other than Donald Trump's uncle, John G. Trump. So Donald Trump's actual uncle was the person to inspect Tesla's supposed death ray machine. For real, you can't make that up. Now, to me, that's pretty funny. I mean, maybe that's why Trump's so confident when it comes to bragging about our military and bossing other countries around. Maybe his brilliant scientist uncle saw some secret plans of Tesla's that the president nephew now knows about.
Just to make sure it's nothing that's confidential, but there's a lot of interesting stuff going on the planet. There's areas of biodefense that are pretty scary. So some nations are apparently working on using CRISPR and other gene editing systems and modifying bugs that could wipe out a few 100 million people pretty quickly. What do you do? How do you detect that? Even the flu, that's a massive bio threat, and it may just be natural. And that could wipe out another 100 million people like it did exactly a century ago. So I work on that stuff, detecting viruses, wiping them out, bugs that could wipe out a few 100 million people pretty quickly. What do you do? How do you detect that? Even the flu, that's a massive bio threat, and it may just be natural. And that could wipe out another 100 million people like it did exactly a century ago. So I work on that stuff, detecting viruses, wiping them out. You don't have to be in a hazmat suit to do it. And so what we came up with after thinking about it for about a week was we need a biological solution, not a chemical. And so we found an organism that its whereabouts I cannot disclose, but it's a very interesting organism that grows at high temperature, and it destroys all bacterial and viral life, and it wipes it out, and it doesn't hurt humans at all. There's, or at least in animal studies, you can find an organism that its whereabouts I cannot disclose, but it's a very interesting organism that grows at high temperature, and it destroys all bacterial and viral life, and it wipes it out, and it doesn't hurt humans at all. There's, or at least in animal studies, you can breathe it in, you can put it anywhere, and it's fine.
And balance doesn't mean all things are equal or at peace at all times. Definition of what wellness means to me. This is my definition, not yours, just an idea, because you're going to be defining it for yourself. Wellness to me means all things in balance, and balance doesn't mean all things are equal.
Deal with this is a social revolution. It's occurring right now at a very rapid rate. I call it a cataclysmic evolutionary event in mankind.
Yeah, it could also, it seems we do have a malevolent elite in this world. The potential for the potential danger here is enormous.
It is, and I think there may be an agenda to depopulate the world.
Oh, I think
call it a cataclysmic evolutionary event in mankind.
Yeah, it could also
is, and I think there may be an agenda to depopulate the world.
Not every year?
No.
Why?
No, I don't know. I've never had one, and thus far I've never had the flu. I don't like the idea of injecting bad stuff into your body, which is basically what they do. And I guess this one has not been very effective to start off with, but the last one. But I've never had a flu shot, and I've never had the flu. I better knock on wood. Where's some wood around?
How is it that you've never had the flu with all the business you've done over the years? You're always shaking hands. That's how you get sick.
I am shaking hands, and I just don't understand it myself. But I have friends that religiously get the flu shot, and then they get the flu. You know, that helps my thinking, because I say, why am I doing this? And then I've seen a lot of reports that the last flu shot is virtually totally ineffective. I've passed on it, but that doesn't mean people should pass.
I know how you...
5G-budskap. Surrender. 5G skeptics. Hashtag.
This was Over the Sky in Las Vegas 1 month ago.
这些花，家里这些草啊，不太会打理，都快死了。哎，这什么原因呢？下面有水呀。回头回来，老婆肯定要骂我了。哎，这个丢掉了。家里的绿植不知道是不是认主人，按老婆的方法一直在给他们浇水。感觉老婆再不回来，这些绿植恐怕都救不活了。有人吗？就是那个家里没有。
Totally useless for a lot of well-meaning people to wring their hands in conference and to point out the dangers of pollution or destruction of the countryside if no one is willing or capable of taking any action. It'll be a waste of time and effort to establish even the most brilliant advisory body if there is no way of putting it. The impassioned speeches will be so much effluent under the bridge unless it is followed by drastic political action. Well, sir, time is fast running out, and it remains to be seen whether those in political authority can shoulder their responsibilities in time and act quickly enough to relieve a situation which grows more serious every day.
What do you see as the biggest challenges in conservation?
The growing human population. Where we are, there's nothing else.
And do you have views about what should be done about that?
How'd you guess?
You know, greater availability of contraception. I don't know what your views are as to what can be done about it.
Well, I think it might be described as voluntary family limitation.
Serious issues faced by conservationists and World Wildlife Fund over the next 20 years or so.
95% of the whole of the Atlantic rainforest in Brazil has disappeared in the last 100 years. There is simply nowhere for these animals to live. At the basis of it all is this colossal increase in the human population. It's one of the living species of the planet, but it's reaching plague proportions.
Around this monument is that once the date is filled in, it's going to release a bioweapon. That comes from the fact that it's very obviously a monument complaining about overpopulation.
Has anybody seen Contagion? That's the answer. Go out and use genetic engineering to create a better virus.
Contagious and highly deadly, a respiratory spread pathogen would kill more than 30 million people in less than a year.
We've got to stabilize population. On a voluntary basis, everybody in the world's got to pledge to themselves that 1 or 2 children is it.
Perhaps just for that has risen geometrically to almost 6 billion people and could easily exceed 8 billion.
Or people who paid for these stones stayed anonymous, so no one knows if they were actually intending to troll conspiracy theorists.
These granite slabs are on a farm outside of Atlanta, and no one knows exactly what they're doing here.
In future generations, they'll wonder, who put those stones there? Why did they put those stones there?
Hudson Cohn was here from the beginning, 1979. He took these photos as the guidestones went up, 19 feet high, 250,000 pounds, and built to withstand an earthquake. The 4 slabs of granite each have 10 guiding principles of truth and harmony. They're inscribed in English, Russian, Chinese, Arabic. The list of languages goes on. But what does it all mean?
I've had people some and say it was some kind of Satan worship shrine and it ought to be torn down. And I've had others say it was the holiest spot on earth, that the Holy Grail was buried under there. Some people think it's a beacon to UFOs.
Hudson is one of the only people to meet the man who knows the true meaning. His name is R.C. Christian, and he paid for this all to be built. And wouldn't you know it, R.C. Christian is a fake name.
And he was very concerned about the environment.
Do you think he could still be alive?
Probably not. I'd say early to mid-70s then. I'm not saying he couldn't be alive, but he'd be an awful old man.
Even the people who built the Georgia Guidestones say that they don't even know for sure why R.C. Christian wanted this. Not even Wayne Mullinax, who sold 5 acres of his cow pasture to make space for the stones.
That conservation is partly political.
What's a conservationist then? How would you describe a conservationist?
Well, I think somebody who's concerned that at least the human population doesn't disturb the normal balance of nature on this planet more than necessary. There's a big difference between what is political and what is party political. And I don't think that conservation is party political.
What's a conservationist then? How would you describe a conservationist?
Well, I think somebody who's concerned that at least the human population doesn't disturb the normal balance of nature on this planet more than necessary.
With how biology and actually most facts are taught, or theories are taught, is that there's a textbook and that's the Bible equivalent. What I try to teach my students is, can you please just forget everything you've just learned? And what's important to know is that most things we think we know are not correct. They're going to change over time. All theories change. Newton was wrong, but he helped us get here. Expect that we only know 0.01% of what we need to figure out, and a lot of what we think we know is wrong anyway. So even if you have the greatest theory, expect that it will be overturned, but you can at least cherish the fact that you've helped us get to that point, because without Newton we wouldn't have quantum physics.
Well, for someone like me, hearing you say that, it's very promising and it's very encouraging. But I always thought that scientists were always going on just data. Like all they cared about was data. All they cared about is what is correct. And that was what was crucial. That's what's important. This is what they talk about. This is what they study. When I found out that scientists would ignore information or use their own personal biases against information or attack research because it somehow negates what they've done, it's very disheartening for someone who's not a scientist. You go, oh no, the ego is in science too?
Right. It's disheartening as a scientist. I can tell you that there was a time of great change in the aging field where we discovered genes control aging, and molecules like resveratrol could extend health and lifespan. It was brutal. I'd get up and I'd give a speech and someone would say, "You're wrong, this is crap." And
where are they now? Do you call them up in the middle of the night?
What I'm saying, every PhD on this planet
whether they're for science or for medicine, have been given incorrect information for thousands of years about the history of this, not just this galaxy, the universe. They have been given information which was controlled by Draco, Reptilian, and other extraterrestrials not to know what was really going on. So every book in every university on this planet had misinformation about every field, every technical field you can come up with. Okay?
Yes.
Aerospace later on. Remember, everything that we're talking about here, I don't know how to make this clear. You're trying to decipher, you're trying to understand not just other extraterrestrial people information, but everything that you're getting is totally unreal to every single PhD on the planet. I have to say, people don't realize what took place in 1942 in the Naval Air Station at San Diego. This is unbelievable. And it's not just a statement of unbelievable. You couldn't understand it.